the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I want to thank them for their assistance. They're not present at the press conference, but as you'll see, they were integral in with their assistance in this case. In this instance, we also have our partners from the Suffolk County PD, Commissioner Rob Waring. Actually, Rob Waring's to my left. He's sneaky. Chief of Detectives Darrell Simmons, as well as Deputy Inspector Sean Barron and their team of investigators. We have the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office. We have the New York State Police, led by Lieutenant St. Drew, and you're going to hear from Lieutenant St. Drew in a moment. We also have the FBI and their team. We thank them for their assistance. We have Senior Supervising Resident Agent Don Osbacher and some investigators on the Gilgo Task Force. We thank them for their assistance and for their presence. The Secret Service, we want to thank them for their help. They're not present at this press conference, but they've been helping with the electronic evidence. We also have received, in this instance, assistance from the New York City Police Department, who are not here. But again, we want to help. Thank the NYPD for helping us gain access to the significant Asian population in the city. Now, before I get into that new information, I just wanted to discuss with you all where you can find the visuals that have been provided to my left. The new information and visuals provided here today will be provided to the press. They will be posted on NYPD's website and their Help ID Me Facebook page. And again, this is a place where members of the public can go and look at pictures and information concerning missing victims of crime and provide law enforcement with information. There's also a VICAP public webpage and law enforcement repository. VICAP is the Violent Criminal Apprehension Bureau, and that is run by the FBI, and so you could go on their website, provide information, learn information, and of course it is available right now on my website, the District Attorney's website, as well as our social media, and this information includes updated forensic reconstruction images of Asian Doe, which were provided by NYPD, descriptions of the clothing of the victim, which he was wearing at the time of death, a picture of the various clothing labels of the clothes that were worn, new genealogical data, as well as information as to the victim's age, height, and gender identity information. Now, with regard to the initial investigation in this case, the remains of Asian Doe were discovered on April 4th, 2011. They were found, the skeletal remains were found on Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach in New York, I believe found in between, just closest to Megan Waterman. The initial examination revealed the following. The victim was a biological male of Asian descent. The victim was between the ages of 17 and 23. So there, he was a teenager or very young adult when the murder occurred, and he was about 5'6" tall, give or take a couple of inches either way. Unfortunately, this victim suffered a violent death. The cause of death was homicide by blunt force trauma. We know the death occurred during or prior to 2006. And that those remains were on Ocean Beach for at least 5 years before being discovered in 2011. So the actual murder occurred based on the forensic examination of the remains in 2006 or earlier. Some of this information is being released for the first time, specifically the descriptions of the clothes that Asian Doe was wearing at the time of death, and that although Asian Doe was a biological male, Asian Doe was wearing exclusively women's clothing. He was wearing a Chrysanthemum brand blue-ribbed short-sleeved shirt with a crew neck, size large. He was wearing a Raffaella brand shirt, size 10, and he was wearing a pair of women's pants and a bra, both by the brand Bill Blass. And with regard to the forensic reconstructive reconstruction images, the task force was able to work with National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, and a forensic artist examine the victim's skull to create the facial reconstructions that you see here. And those reconstructions depict what the victim may have looked like prior to their disappearance and murder. We have two pictures of a person with short hair, one head on and one in the profile, and we have a third picture of an individual with long hair. Because the victim was wearing exclusively women's clothing at the time of death, it is possible that they identified as a woman or were known by others as being a woman. The Gilgo Beach Task Force also utilized genetic genealogy to learn more about this victim's specific ethnicity. It was previously known that this victim was of Asian descent. However, now we know that it is a strong likelihood that the victim is of Southern Chinese descent, Han Chinese descent. Han Chinese is one of the 56 officially recognized ethnicities in the People's Republic of China. This is a significant development because, unfortunately, South Asia is underrepresented in our genealogy databases, meaning there are not a lot of Asian profiles in the database. Therefore, investigative genetic genealogy in this instance is a challenge. It's a challenge to identify this victim, and so far it has proved to be difficult and has provided few leads. Hence, the purpose for us being here today. We're looking for the media's assistance, and we're looking for the public's assistance in helping us provide information on this victim to get this victim's name back. And I'll just come over. These are the pictures of the individual. We have a picture of Asian Doe with short as they would appear with short hair, and a picture of Asian Doe as they would appear with longer hair. Now, with regard to outreach to the community, again, we've leaned on all our partners as we always do, but particularly in this instance, the New York City Police Department and the state troopers. We've asked for the NYPD's assistance in translating this flyer into Mandarin, into Cantonese, into Thai, and into Bahasa, which is an Indonesian language. And the NYPD will further assist in distributing flyers on the ground in the Asian communities across New York City. And again, as we know, there is a significant Asian population in New York City, so we thank them for their help. We've invited several Asian media outlets to be present here in the hopes that they can reach the Asian community directly and provide this information to those communities. Regarding our goals for doing this, this is a call to action. We want to enlist the public's help in trying to identify Asian Doe. With regard to the translations, we hope that the public and the Asian media outlets will further assist us in translating and disseminating this information into additional Asian dialects, which will further aid in the process of identification. Again, this person had a name. This person had family. This person had friends. We're reaching out to anyone who might have known this individual to help us with that identification. Again, I would just add with regard to DNA databases, those who would like to help identify Asian Doe or any other victim or missing persons in the Asian or any other community to help, you can upload your DNA to Family Tree DNA and into GEDmatch Pro and opt into law enforcement matching. Contrary to popular opinion, law enforcement doesn't have access to all DNA databases, and this identification, this IgG technology that we use, as you can see, we don't just utilize it to identify suspects. We also use it to identify victims and to provide closure to the families of missing victims. If you really want to help, please consider uploading your DNA profile into those two commercial databases, which allow law enforcement to access that information but only with the consent of the consumer. Now, third, we ask that if you were around in the late 90s and early 2000s, think about the people you associated with. Think about the people you know. Did anyone of Asian descent go missing? We believe Asian Doe may have been working as a sex worker around the time of their disappearance prior to 2006. We believe that they spent some time in New York City prior to their death. And we want to urge the public, don't discount someone just because you know them to be from somewhere outside of New York City. As we know, people often come to New York City for a myriad of reasons. Prior to 2006, this person had friends, possible classmates, or co-workers, and a family. Someone knows who this individual is, and we need that person or persons to contact us. So that's what we're asking. Again, with the help of the media, let's get these photos out, let's get this information out, and let's identify Asian Doe. Crime Stoppers is offering a $2,500 reward for information leading to the identification of Asian Doe. Anyone with information regarding this case or the identification of the victim is asked to contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-220-TIPS, T-I-P-S, or via email or the mobile app on the flyer. You can do so in your native language. Translation services are available, so if you have difficulty with the English language but you have information, provide it to us in your native language and we will translate it. Again, please share this information far and wide, and let's help get this victim identified and give this victim their name back. Prior to taking questions, I'm going to turn it over to the New York State Police. We have, as I've said, we've had Lieutenant Richard St. Preux, and he is going to introduce the Mandarin translator. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Richard St. Preux with the New York State Police. I cover the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. I'm introducing Trooper Shin Sung Lee, who will be translating into Mandarin.
大家早上好。今天吉尔格海滩凶杀专案组请求广大群众的帮助，来辨认一具发现于2011年11月2011年4月4日发现的受害人遗体。受害人为亚裔男性，有可能来自于中国南方，有可能为汉族。警方认为受害人的受害时间大约在2006年或者之前。该名受害人怀疑被钝器暴力击打致死。遇害时的年龄大约在17岁到23岁之间。遗体被发现时有穿着女性服装。我们呼吁广大的华人群众能够帮助警方一起辨认这名照片中的受害人，以及受害人身上的衣物残留。如果在您认识的人当中有2006年或者之前的失联人员，并且与照片上的受害人样貌相似，或者是服装相同的话，请务必与苏福克郡警察局联系。我们有提供中文服务。受害人遇害时还只是青少年，在这里我们呼吁广大的华人群众能够积极的在亲友和社区之中传播我们所提供的信息。以便我们可以早日确认这位受害人的身份信息，给受害人一个公道。谢谢大家。
Thank you, Lieutenant, and thank you, Trooper Lee. With that, I'll open it up to questions. Does anybody have any questions? So, we have a bail document which details some of the internet searches done by the defendant, and some did contain searches using similar terms that you just described. Anything else? So yeah, it was just it's a violent death, blunt force trauma, which led to the individual's death. So this was a violent assault resulting in the defendant's death. No, we don't have anyone there. But, basically what it is, the forensic anthropologists, forensic artists, they start at the skull, and then using the characteristics of the skull, they essentially create, and using their training, of course, they create the diagram of the individual. So we believe this is the most accurate possible depiction of the victim. That was the language that the trooper, Cantonese? I'm sorry, Mandarin. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think you never say never. We've seen the way that the DNA technology has evolved. So we do have DNA, and so we're working with it. I'll get you in a second. It's not unheard of, especially when you're talking about, a crime of this nature, and when you're talking about a community that's an immigrant community that tends to be insular. So again, we think a lot of times, and again, this person we believe was brought from outside the jurisdiction into the jurisdiction. So when you combine all those things, it's not that unusual. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we send out the information far and wide, not just to Suffolk County, not just to New York, but across the country and across the world. Yeah, I'm sorry, Greg. So if you look at where it was situated, I think it was about 300 or so feet from Megan Waterman in that same stretch of Parkway. So it's between Megan Waterman and Jessica Taylor. And as we've said all along, each one of these these victims, it's a separate crime scene. Start from that separate crime scene, and you work your way up, which we're doing. And it's all nice to speculate, but it basically doesn't matter until you can bring charges, and we're certainly not at that stage. Well, I think probably what you're referencing is specifically with regard to the Gilgo 4. Those were uniquely, they were almost identical, and they're unique from the other bodies. There's always evidence at the scene, and we're analyzing that evidence, and if it bears fruit and results in charges, we'll talk about it at that time. I'm not entirely certain. I know specifically that this victim was clad in the clothes that we've described. I don't know what that means. We start from our victim. We start from our crime scene. We work our way out, and we don't talk about it until we're able to charge someone. There's always physical evidence, and you work through the physical evidence. You utilize the various modalities. Those modalities are changing, evolving, so it's a continuing process. And until that process is complete, you don't discuss it. So we're not at that stage where we're prepared to discuss it. But there's always a myriad of physical evidence at any scene. It's just whether or not it's relevant or not, or it's able to be tested. Yes. He was not wrapped in burlap. Nope. Well, I would just ask that you look at the bail document, because we have a number of searches with regard to searches that could arguably be related to this victim, as well as the Gilgo Beach investigation and the discovery of bodies on Gilgo in general. Sure. Well, that's it's the public, and some, I think when you talk about, immigrant communities from outside of Suffolk County and a body found inside Suffolk County in general, you wouldn't be all that surprised in having difficulty to identify this particular victim, and then, there are all those other factors as well. So, not completely unsurprising that we've not been able to identify the victim. But the most important thing is that we identify that victim regardless of the outcome of any criminal case, just to provide that victim and their family with, give the victim his or her name back and provide the family with closure. It's based upon our investigation, which I'm not going to get into. Yeah, these were done through NYPD, and that was a fairly involved process. We really appreciate their assistance. Obviously, it's a painstaking process, and it took some time. So, once we had the information available, and also the DNA, the specific genealogy DNA, we wanted to provide it to the public because we think it'll help the investigation and help to identify this individual. Okay. Thank you all so much. Thanks for coming.